Have you ever noticed that the people who seem the hardest to influence are rarely the loudest? They don't rush to defend themselves. They don't interrupt every criticism. They don't waste hours trying to convince people who have already made up their minds. Instead, they remain calm. And strangely, that calmness often speaks louder than any argument ever could. Modern life teaches us something completely different. We're told that every insult deserves an answer. Every accusation deserves a defense. Every disagreement must end with someone proving they're right. So we react. We react to criticism. We react to disrespect. We react to careless opinions from people who don't even know us. Without realizing it, we slowly surrender the one thing that matters most, our inner peace. The Stoics understood a truth that most people spend their entire lives overlooking. The greatest danger is not that someone speaks badly about you. The greatest danger is allowing that person to occupy your thoughts long after the conversation has ended. Because the moment another person controls your emotional state, they begin influencing the direction of your mind. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, criticism, false accusations, and constant pressure while leading an empire. Yet he reminded himself that every external event had only one opportunity to enter his mind. Whether it stayed there was his decision. Think about your own life. How many sleepless nights have been created by words spoken in less than a minute? How many opportunities have disappeared because you kept replaying someone's opinion instead of moving forward? How often has a stranger's judgment carried more weight than your own principles? The Stoics believed real freedom begins the moment your peace is no longer available for everyone to borrow. That doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean pretending emotions don't exist. It means understanding that your attention is one of the most valuable things you possess. And not everyone deserves access to it. Today, let's explore why silence is often misunderstood, why emotional discipline quietly changes every relationship, and why the strongest people are usually the ones who feel the least need to prove themselves.
Welcome to True Stoic Journal, the path to inner control.
One of the greatest misconceptions about strength is the belief that confidence always announces itself. In reality, insecurity speaks far more often than confidence ever does. Have you ever noticed how some people cannot tolerate being misunderstood? The moment someone questions them, they begin explaining every detail. The moment they receive criticism, they immediately prepare a defense. The moment another person disagrees, they feel an overwhelming need to win the conversation. At first, this appears like confidence. But if you observe, something very different is happening. Their peace depends on changing another person's opinion. And the moment your peace depends on someone else's approval, it no longer belongs to you. Epictetus warned that if your happiness relies on things outside your control, disappointment becomes inevitable. The opinions of other people have always been outside your control. Yet millions of people spend their entire lives chasing them. Imagine carrying a glass of water while walking through a crowded marketplace. If every person bumps into you, the water spills. Eventually, you realize the problem isn't only the crowd. It's the way you're carrying the glass. The human mind works the same way. If every careless comment shakes your emotions, the problem isn't that difficult people exist. The problem is that your inner balance depends too heavily on circumstances you cannot control. The Stoics trained themselves differently. Instead of asking, how can I stop people from criticizing me? They asked, why does criticism disturb me so deeply? That single question transforms everything. Because growth begins the moment attention moves inward instead of outward. Another lesson changed the way I understood conflict forever. Most people believe arguments are about facts. Very often, they are about emotional influence. Some individuals are not trying to discover truth. They're trying to discover how easily your emotions can be moved. A sarcastic remark. A dismissive smile. A careless joke. On the surface, these moments seem insignificant. But beneath them lies an invisible question. Asterisk, can I disturb your peace? Asterisk, most people answer immediately. Their expression changes. Their voice becomes sharper. Their breathing becomes heavier. Without realizing it, they've revealed exactly where their emotional boundaries begin. The Stoics believed awareness should always arrive before reaction. Because once emotion becomes stronger than judgment, wisdom quietly leaves the conversation. That is why silence can become such a powerful expression of self-mastery. Not because silence always solves conflict, but because it gives you time to decide whether the conflict deserves a place inside your mind at all. The strongest response is not always the fastest one. Very often, it is the most thoughtful. And thoughtful people rarely allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. There is another truth that quietly separates emotionally disciplined people from everyone else. They understand that not every emotion deserves immediate expression. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means refusing to let temporary emotions become permanent decisions. Most regret begins the same way. A message sent in anger. A relationship damaged by pride. A decision made while frustration was louder than wisdom. For a few seconds, emotion feels powerful. But once the moment passes, clarity returns. Unfortunately, the consequences often remain. Seneca believed that anger is one of the most destructive emotions because it convinces people they are thinking clearly at the exact moment their judgment is weakest. That is why emotionally disciplined people rarely allow urgency to control them. They pause. They breathe. They observe. And only then do they decide whether a response is truly necessary. That simple pause creates extraordinary freedom. Because many conflicts survive for only one reason. Someone keeps feeding them emotional energy. Remove the emotional fuel, and the conflict often begins losing its strength. This is why silence should never be confused with fear. Sometimes silence is simply evidence that someone values peace more than proving a point. Another lesson the Stoics practiced was separating facts from interpretations. Imagine someone looks at you with disapproval. Immediately, the mind begins creating stories. Asterisk, they don't respect me. Asterisk, they must be judging me. Asterisk, I need to explain myself. Asterisk, yet none of those thoughts are facts. They are interpretations. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that external events remain neutral until the mind assigns them meaning. That realization changes everything. A careless comment becomes only a sentence. A criticism becomes only an opinion. An insult becomes only a sound. Its real power begins only when your mind accepts it as part of your identity. The disciplined person understands this. Instead of believing every thought that appears, they question it. Asterisk, is this true? Asterisk, is this useful? Asterisk, will this matter a year from now? Asterisk, most emotional suffering disappears the moment those questions are asked honestly. Because the mind often exaggerates what the heart is temporarily feeling. There is another reason calmness carries quiet influence. Human beings naturally observe emotional stability. During moments of pressure, people rarely remember every sentence that was spoken. They remember who remained composed, who listened carefully, who reacted impulsively, and who demonstrated quiet confidence without demanding attention. This is why genuine authority cannot be manufactured. It grows from consistency. Someone who remains respectful during disagreement earns more trust than someone who wins through anger. Someone who protects their character during conflict gains something far more valuable than victory. They gain credibility. Over time, people begin noticing that certain individuals cannot easily be shaken. Not because life is easier for them, but because their peace is no longer dependent upon every opinion they hear. That kind of stability becomes magnetic. Without trying to impress anyone, they quietly influence the atmosphere around them. Another important lesson is understanding the difference between boundaries and revenge. Many people believe protecting themselves means becoming cold toward everyone. The Stoics rejected that idea. You can remain kind without becoming available to disrespect. You can remain compassionate without accepting manipulation. You can forgive someone internally while choosing not to repeat the same unhealthy pattern. Real boundaries are not built from anger. They are built from wisdom. Because every no spoken to unnecessary chaos becomes a yes spoken to your own peace. The people who genuinely respect you will understand those boundaries. Those who become offended by them often benefited from the absence of boundaries in the first place. That realization frees you from seeking approval where respect never truly existed. As you continue practicing emotional discipline, something remarkable begins happening. You stop measuring yourself by how many arguments you win. You begin measuring yourself by how much peace you preserve. You stop asking whether people agree with you. You begin asking whether your actions agree with your principles. That shift quietly transforms every relationship. Because your confidence no longer depends upon applause. It grows from integrity. From keeping your word. From remaining calm when circumstances invite chaos. Life will always contain criticism. It will always contain misunderstandings. It will always contain people who project their own frustration onto others. The Stoics never promised a world without difficult people. They offered something far more valuable. A mind that refuses to become like them. Because the greatest victory has never been proving someone else wrong. The greatest victory is refusing to lose yourself while trying to do it. When you master that lesson, something inside you becomes incredibly difficult to disturb. Your attention becomes intentional. Your emotions become wiser. Your reactions become slower. And your peace becomes stronger than the opinions surrounding you. That is the quiet strength the Stoics pursued throughout their lives. Not dominance over other people, but mastery over themselves. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe to True Stoic Journal for more timeless lessons on Stoicism, emotional discipline, resilience, and inner peace. Remember this: the strongest person is not the one who always has the perfect response. It is the one who has learned that not every voice deserves a place inside their mind. Protect your attention. Protect your character. And above all, protect the peace that no one else can create for you.